Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends SKULLBUSTER from the Caliban Build-A-Figure wave of X-Men Marvel Legends. And if there was ever a character I had never even heard of before, it's this one. Now you guys know I don't really read comics, but I know generally about most of the characters. I have literally never heard of or seen this guy ever. Is he a common character now? Is he a thing that people are familiar with? Who is this guy? Where did he come from? And where did he go? No, did anybody want this? Just out of curiosity, it has nothing to do with the figure. I'm just curious, is this a thing people wanted? I have no idea. But, and this is why it's weird, it's a really good figure. So, it's very strange to me. Hasbro does some very strange things. This one is a solid release. Yeah, it does reuse a lot of parts, but that's not necessarily a problem. So, let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 17.5 centimeters, which makes him pretty close to about 6 3/4, 6 7/8 inches tall. And just when you thought they weren't going to reuse some of these parts, they did, and it made for a good figure. Again, I have no idea who this guy is, but look at it. I mean, that's a nice looking figure right there. This is a great example of a good Marvel Legends figure. It doesn't need a ton of new parts. Yeah, there are some new ones on here, but a little bit of paint, a little bit of mold color variation, decent sculpt work. You got a decent figure. It doesn't take that much. This is why I have to point out so many times that the figures aren't good, because they're very capable of making good ones. And if you're telling me they have to make a bunch of crappy ones just to produce this, I'm not buying it. There's no way that's true, because we've seen other companies over and over again do much better with less. So Hasbro is definitely capable. This is evidence. Little interesting note. I don't know if you guys, any of you out there, have noticed this. I'm guessing somebody has. I don't know if it's going to show up very well. Probably not. There's like fingerprint texture on his jacket and on his ass in particular. Those are the only places I noticed it. That's from 3D printing. It looks like a 50 nanometer layer print, and that's odd to me because I assumed that they aren't making their molds from prints. I assume they're making prints for prototypes and then making new molds that don't have the layering, unless their milling process to make the molds requires that kind of patterning also. But it's interesting that it actually looks like a 3D print this time. That's unusual, but anytime you see that very faint fingerprint type texture, it kind of looks like a topographical map. That's from 3D printing or milling, potentially CNC. I'm not sure how they make their molds for Hasbro, but it's interesting, and I noticed it on this guy far more than any other figure. I assume somebody else might have too and was curious about that. So there you go. Side note. Back to the figure. Is it aesthetically pleasing? Yes, very, very much so. There's not a whole lot of paint on it. We have some on the arms. It's good enough. Right here is kind of ugly because they painted the flesh on top of the brownish gray. So it's not terrible, but it's not great. They painted the zippers. That's nice. The magazine got some paint. His ammo belt thing has gold paint on it. His spikes are painted. This hubcap is painted. His face is done with a nice tampography. That's very, very nicely done. Very clean. On his back, we didn't get any paint. First of all, how the hell is somebody going to reach magazines like that? That is like way too high up. And he's got some ammo back here too. Those are the places you can't scratch an itch, and he's supposed to take some shells out of there or some mags. I don't buy that, but they're not painted either. Anyway, they did paint some things nicely. Overall, aesthetically very pleasing. The sculpt is fantabulous. I love the nanotech, if you want to call it that, whatever his deal is. Very nicely sculpted. 8.5 out of 10 for the aesthetic. Very, very nicely done. I like it. I like it a lot. And if you want to add his accessories, let's move on to that. This head with the clear helmet thingy going on, I don't know what the hell this is. Yeah, it comes apart. I assume it's meant to. Again, I know nothing about this guy, but this is really cool. The only downside is the clear is kind of yellowing. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's quite yellow. So that's a little odd if it's not supposed to be yellow. But it's still a really cool piece. I mean, it's weird looking, but still aesthetically it's cool. And we get it as an accessory. And then we also have his pistol, which looks like butts. Why is it solid olive drab flat plastic? That looks like butts. Doesn't look good. And it looks like the mag is in backwards. Am I going crazy here? Like, I've never seen a mag with the rail on the front, or with the guide rail, whatever you want to call that, on the front, and then the little nubbin sticking out on the back. Whatever. 6 out of 10 for the accessories. All right, on to the articulation. The head is on your standard Marvel Legends articulation, so it works just fine. No real issues there. Full rotation on that ball peg. It doesn't have lollipop syndrome, so that's good. Shoulders function just fine. Going out to the side, not quite horizontal, but pretty close. Full rotation with the exception of the shoulder pads being in the way, so that's fine. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, not the best on that side. This side's probably about the same. Yeah, a little better than 90 maybe if you really try to finesse it. So it's acceptable, it's not great. Swivel and hinge for that side, same thing on this side, except we get a vertical hinge. Yay! And then for the ab crunch, we do get one notch going back. It is fully sculpted on the inside. Couple notches going forward, no problems there. Can you remove the jacket? I can hear you thinking it. I don't know. Let's find out. Oh, he's got a hole in his chest from being that other guy. So that, yeah, you don't want to remove the jacket. You can, if you wanted to fill that hole. It feels like you can, but it's not going to be a fun process. And he's got a hole, so don't do that. Waist swivel is fine. Belt is floaty. Hips go all the way forward. Very nicely done. All the way back, not really, but a little bit. Thigh swivel is fine. Double jointed knee is fine. We do get a boot swivel. Ankles go all the way back, pretty far forward, and a decent ankle rocker from that swivel hinge. And so the articulation on this guy is pretty solid. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. That's pretty good articulation for a Marvel Legends figure. I don't really see any issues other than the elbows, but he's a little chonky, so I'll give it to him. So, final verdict on this guy. Well, it's another great example of what Hasbro can and should be doing on a regular basis. It's a character I really couldn't care less about, but I'm happier to own this than a character I really like that's made for crap. So this is it is what they should be doing, without a doubt. I'm gonna give this guy an 8 out of 10, only because his gun looks really stupid, and well, maybe I could go up to 9 if I really thought about it. I don't know. You can pick 8 or 9. Relative to Marvel Legends, of course, not compared to like everything ever. But if you like this guy, you can give it a 9. I allow it. But it could be an 8 too. It's a very solid release. Not perfect, but you know what? I'm gonna stick with 8 because of the patterns from the printing or milling process that you can see so obviously on his jacket. I don't like that. But otherwise, he's really good. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't, because I do have new videos out just about every single day. And I've got thousands of videos already on the channel. So come back for all that good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.